You're listening to No Plot, Only Lore, a podcast about games and the tables we play them at. Your DMs tonight and every night are Josh and Chris. You can find us on all podcast platforms or check us out at noplotonlylore.com. If you like what you hear today, please rate and review the show and share it with everyone you've ever met.
Welcome back to No Plot, Only Lore, this week brought to you by Josh's Spirit of Christmas. I personally don't have a Spirit of Christmas, so we're relying entirely on Josh's, and my understanding is that he's feeling a little down energy on Christmas today.
You know, I'm not down energy on Christmas as like a concept. That's just been a long day. I'm down energy in general.
But Christmas, still, like, top 10 holidays?
Oh, for me, number one with a bullet.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't even enter my list, to be honest.
Really?
There was a solid, 10 years where I just didn't celebrate Christmas.
That, disgusts me? Worries me?
So after I moved out of my mom and dad's house, we spent some time in different cities, and Christmas started to become like an ordeal. And it was an ordeal for all of us.
It is an ordeal, that's for sure.
Right. But you get an entire family of people with undiagnosed ADHD trying to get past that to do a holiday thing, and it just turns into a nightmare. So eventually we just sat down and we said, is this something that we're actually interested in continuing to do? And my mom was like, but I like presents. And then the rest of us were like, nah, we're good. Christmas, we're fine without that. That's fine.
Well, see, that's the problem. You have not found the reason for the season. Right?
Presents?
No.
Loot.
No.
Fighting monsters.
All right,
maybe. No, yeah, we just we didn't do it for a lot of years. When my son was born, we started celebrating Christmas again because I didn't want him to be the weird kid that didn't have Christmas.
Yeah, like the Jehovah's.
Yeah, Jehovah's. I mean, he has some Jewish friends that I probably shouldn't have worried as much about it as I did when he was younger. But yeah, no, I didn't want him to be the kid that didn't have winter holidays the same as everybody else did. And so we started celebrating Christmas again in my house in a kind of a very lackluster way, and the spirit is entirely missing.
Oh. See, that's the problem. It was a hollow construct for you that wasn't tied to a strong religious upbringing.
True. Yeah. No, I did not have a strong religious upbringing. I had a very loosey-goosey religious upbringing.
Very vague and free-spirited.
Yes. An ex-Mormon mother who basically gave me free reign to explore whatever I wanted. And that turned out to be not a lot of church.
Good luck. Try not to commit any heresies.
I mean, if you're going to commit heresies, just commit the little ones.
Yeah, a little light heresy.
Yeah, a little smattering of heresy now and again, just to keep it interesting. Yeah, so no, we didn't do a lot of Christmas. And, I didn't do any Christmas in my early adult life, and I've only done it since my son was born.
No, Christmas for me, I mean, obviously there was the religious upbringing, but I've always liked the not like the spectacle, but like the
pageantry.
Yeah, that might be the right word. But I don't like.
I just
no
like it
other
because
holiday.
Christmas pageants.
True. I mean, I did a lot of those, but like Halloween has a lot of pageantry, but also a lot of it feels like hollow. If that makes sense. Like, there's a certain amount of conviction behind some of the pageantry with Christmas. It's also a much warmer, friendlier, more positive holiday than Halloween is.
So personally, I love Halloween.
I'm not saying I don't like Halloween. I'm just saying the vibe of it is a lot more wholesome.
Yeah, no, Halloween is in my top spot for holidays.
Maybe
I fucking love Halloween. Spooky season is the best.
Maybe we are two sides of the same coin. maybe as certain people have like posited during my lifetime, Halloween is Satan's Christmas, and that's what draws you to it.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah, no, Halloween was like not that I have a bunch of trauma related to it or anything, but like Halloween just had a very different vibe when I was younger. It's mellowed out a lot, especially in like religious circles, where between them doing all sorts of weird things to like take back the holiday and stick it to the devil or whatever, and then just like them chilling out about it and realizing like, oh, it's become such a big nothing that we're going to make up down out of a molehill. It just didn't have the same like place in my heart growing up. It was a time to go get some candy, but like as Christmas as an extension of like, and I know these aren't like a real thing, but like as an extension of my love language is very much a real thing. Like I am a big like gift giver when it comes to Christmas. And not like in like volume or value, like monetarily, but like I really like getting someone something that like really gets them, you know? On the
I find
flip
it
side,
incredibly stressful.
Oh no, it doesn't stress me at all. On the flip side, I have opened myself up to being like sort of hurt because when, like, if I get a gift from someone that I feel, and like this isn't like for everyone, this is just for like specific people. Like, you know, like if I'm like, let's say in the family gift exchange, and whoever gets me a gift that's like kind of generic, then
Settlers of Catan.
Honestly, I would feel better about getting Catan from someone because I knew that they at least knew that I liked board games.
Right.
Right?
Okay.
Like, the best gift I ever got was the year that my brother bought me a World of Warcraft figure print. And if you don't know what that is, there's a service that takes your World of Warcraft character and prints a 3D model of it in a glass container that you can display on your shelf. And so
do you get to like pick your armor and stuff before they do that, or do they just take like a random snapshot of whatever the fuck you're wearing?
So yeah, like you sign up and then you can either, you have options. You can like say, hey, use what I'm currently wearing, because they'll just pull it from the armory, or you can put on one of like specific armor sets, so like the different tier sets. You could just pick the whole set and they'll just put that on. And then you could choose like a pose and then blah, blah, blah.
I was just thinking it would be kind of funny if you were wearing like some absolutely ridiculous, like high on MDMA type shit.
No, you can absolutely do that.
Well, yeah, but like it'd be funny if you were doing that and then you wanted like an epic figure print and instead you got like, here's my helmet with the big wings on it and the big fluffy pink bunny slippers because they have good stats.
So the way to do that would not be to like gift someone a figure print, but just to like buy one for them if you knew enough about their character to just take a snapshot right now and then give them that on Christmas to open, which would be very
fantastic. Funny. It would be very fun.
Yeah, so that was like, because like one, I didn't tell him to do that, and two, it was like he did enough research. Like he knew me well enough to know that like I was really big into World of Warcraft at the time. I was like coming to the end of my like World of Warcraft as a second job phase,
right?
And not only was it like related to something I actually liked, but he did enough research on what people who liked that thing would like that he knew that this would be a really cool thing, right?
Yeah.
So like
the flip side of that is that I am allergic to present face. Right. If I've gotten something for somebody that I have spent time thinking about and considering and like trying to find a connection on a thing and they open it and they're like, it's a present. It's just like, I can't handle it.
Yeah.
I got my mom a book once, and it was a book that she already had but had been falling apart.
Right.
And it was a book that she and I had both read and loved. And I thought, okay, I'm going to get her a new copy of that book to replace the one that is like pages are falling out and the cover is falling off.
Right.
And she opened it and present face happened and I died a little bit inside to the point that I still remember that. And it was like 25 years ago. So like that's, yeah, like weird old wounds about like the few Christmases that I did do. So yeah, I don't, I have some fear of gift giving at Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah. I can understand that side of it. I mean, like on the flip side is like, okay, but this is like slightly dirty laundry, but like my last year, what I got for Christmas was a backup camera, like a third
like a
party
camera
backup,
for backing up in your car.
Yeah, a third party backup camera that had clearly been sitting like in an attic or on a shelf for like years. Like there was the fading and the like yellowing of the plastic and like.
All right.
I was just like, cool. Like at least most of the time when my parents get me, it's just like, let's just go buy you some jeans or something. I'm like, all right, whatever, fine. You are allergic to giving good gifts. You just give practical gifts all the time. But yeah, getting that was like, oh god, cool, thanks. I'm like an afterthought, and like I took it way too personally for like way too long.
Did you watch any of the Thousand Heirs series that Dropout put out?
No.
Okay. It's a cute concept. They give everybody $1,000 to get something for everybody else in the crew.
Okay.
Right. So each of the cast members has $1,000 to get like an experience that everybody else gets to do. And the one that Mike Trapp did was he got random swap meet stuff, like just huge piles of random swap meet stuff, and put them in bags of like surprise swap meet stuff, because that's exactly like his Christmas experience. Is he had like a grandparent or an uncle or something who like his entire thing for Christmas, he would just like grab a bunch of random shit from his attic and put it in a bag and give it to him for Christmas. And like to begin with, he was kind of like, oh, I got it like attic stuff. But then like as he started getting older, he started looking forward to that gift the most, because it was just like, what the fuck am I going to find in there?
Who knows what could live in my uncle's attic?
Here's a teacup from a Hawaii trip I never knew that he took. Or like, here's like 2 ski poles for some reason. But they're not matching. They're different ski poles.
There's just 2 of them.
Yeah. So, no, your gift reminded me of that, but like the sad version.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm not sad about at Christmas, though?
What?
Dungeons.
I've never been in the dungeon on Christmas. I've had a different life than you.
You are hanging out with the wrong people. Maybe. I am sure that we could get you into a dungeon this Christmas if you wanted.
Yeah, I'm down. I'm so down. I mean,
I can pull some strings, and we will have you tied up and whipped this Christmas. That'll be my gift to you.
Is there any chance we could skip the whipping part?
I mean, probably not.
All right. It was worth an ask.
Yeah. No, like the whipping, I feel like comes standard with that gift package.
I know, but you know, you don't know until you try, right?
I'll see if I can pull some strings. Anyway, dungeons. Going on an adventure with your friends at Christmas. I figured we could talk about, because we talked about plots a little bit, like hooks that we could do to get people into adventures on Christmas, and then we talked about some characters that we could maybe be for those adventures. And I figured today we could talk about like the set dressing stuff, the monsters and the bad guys and the traps and all of that nonsense.
Yeah, deal.
So what would be like the first thing that you would want to sort out for like a dungeon that's Christmas themed?
Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do, obviously, is I need to establish who my antagonist is. Put them in a setting that is appropriate to that character.
Okay.
I would basically treat it as like I need to establish their lair, for lack of a better word.
Okay.
Right?
And we talked about a few characters last week that you were saying would like be really easy to turn into like NPCs or monsters.
Sure.
So I was thinking we could maybe like run around those a little bit. So the first set that I have here, and I think that this would actually be a fantastic like short campaign, not even necessarily like a one shot, but like again, the companions of Saint Nicholas.
Right.
So you go in order from like the least terrible of them to like Santa himself, going up the ladder. So you start with like Knight Rupert, asks kids if they know their prayers, and if they don't, they get ashes.
Right. Standard.
Once you beat him, you move up to Belsnickel, who gives kids shoes and socks for Christmas. He is your parents.
Yeah.
Practical gifts only. Black Peter, he's beating children in his lair.
As you do.
Krampus is then eating children in his lair, having squished them to death. And then whatever the hell Santa Claus is up to, stealing the souls of children and stuffing them into toys or something.
Yeah, something horrific. This is obviously the horrific version of Christmas, not, more accurate.
You can just stop at Krampus, right? Like, you can just have Santa be like an oblivious overlord who has no idea what his like underlings are up to.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there could be some sort of, I don't know, I hate to use the phrase, but a war on Christmas, and the underlings have taken what?
I have seen a couple of campaigns that are specifically called the War on Christmas. And it's like going to war with Santa at the North Pole. Yeah, and it's an easy callback, if you will. Yeah, it's an easy joke. But yeah, no, the War on Christmas. You could do Santa as oblivious. I think it's better if he's malicious in some way. Just like, because you need a final boss, and Krampus is an okay final boss, and I think enough people recognize Krampus that you would be able to pull that off. But like having the Red Man himself at the top of the pile. Yeah. Right. Like I am imagining an epic battle against Santa at the workshop. Oh, sure. Yeah. Like yeah, definitely. I'm not going to say like that's the easy one, but like, yeah, that's the classic. Yeah. Alternatively, you could have like a party of evil characters. Right. Like 5 people on the naughty list are trying to like take down Santa's operation. Because like I've struggled to figure out a good way to run campaigns that like are for not good aligned parties. That actually like that kind of works creatively for me. Right, because like if you assume that Krampus is eating children for good, which I mean that's a big stretch. Yeah, it's hard to find children that are worthy of being eaten because of their bad behavior. Hard but not impossible, and I think a goal worth achieving. Yeah, he snacks on like 1 or 2 children a year, and they are literally Hitlers. They are just tiny Hitlers in the making, and he is stopping that. I mean, someone's got to. No one's perfect. Yeah, everybody else just gets a beating from Black Peter. But like, if we assume that all of these characters are good, then we can have all of our player characters be evil and like throw down on Christmas, like Santa and his companions. Sure. Mr. Hanky the Christmas Poo.
God.
We didn't talk about him last time.
Yeah, for a reason. I fucking hate this character.
Me too, to be honest.
Like, it's like everything about this character just screams like it's of that like bacon narwhal kind of era of comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just it's making fun of a clown, you know? It's just ridiculous on top of ridiculous.
And I feel like that's kind of the pocket that South Park played in for a very long time, was the bacon narwhal humor. I also think that because of his nature as like an anti-Christmas character,
right?
The whole idea of him is that you take something that's clearly not about Christmas and you just make him Christmas themed, and that's enough.
Yeah, and all it takes is a hat.
Yeah. So like that positioning, I think, makes him an interesting idea for a villain in a campaign. I think also just like the shock factor of revealing that your big bad is Mr. Hanky the Christmas Poo might be worth it at the table.
I mean, if anywhere is going to make him tolerable for me, that's probably the setting. I have so little love for like anything relating to South Park as it is that I would just sort of like mentally divorce him from the show and just have the most ridiculous villain I could conjure up be him.
See, South Park missed me.
Yeah.
It was in a weird space. Like it came out and got popular just as I was cord cutting for the first time, and like there weren't any streaming options. They're like downloading an episode of a thing took 2 days. So like South Park was just something that I had no touchstones with when it came out, and then when it suddenly was very popular, I had no idea what the fuck was going on.
Right.
It's kind of similar to The Simpsons in that like I wasn't allowed to watch The Simpsons for so long that by the time I started watching it, like I bounced off it.
Yeah.
Because the stuff that I was watching wasn't very good at that point. Yeah. So yeah, like I have no attachment to this character at all. I am perfectly happy to bastardize this for whatever like uses I need. I think the biggest detractor to this one is I don't want to do the fucking voice.
I will not. Yeah, I cannot. Like, I mean that like in the literal sense. Physically, I can't do that voice. I just don't have it in me.
I have a falsetto that I can sometimes use. I can't today because my voice is kind of ratched, but like I have a falsetto that I sometimes use for like Mickey Mouse type characters.
Yeah.
That I could probably throw down with for that. Did you ever read the Dogman books with your kids?
My kids read them. I didn't read them with them.
Okay. They're better than they have any right to be. Like they are a good read if you want like a really easy, quick, like crunchy read.
Okay.
But I don't remember which book it was. It was like the first or the second book. There was an army of sentient hot dogs.
Oh God. Okay.
It's exactly that kind of like kids book where they have like a sentient spray that they spray on things and it turns them into like real life people.
Right. The kind of stuff that I hate. I don't want
to. Okay. But yeah, like that's the voice that I used for those hot dogs. And like there are a couple of points in that book that I wasn't expecting where the hot dogs yell. And yelling in a falsetto Mickey Mouse voice is probably the hardest thing I've ever done.
Yeah, that sounds awful.
I could barely speak afterwards.
That makes sense.
So, yeah, doing a Mr. Hanky voice for any amount of time in a combat setting could be difficult.
Yep. All right, let's move on then to other things. What do we got?
How do you feel about the Nutcracker as like an entity?
As an entity, it's fine. It's just for whatever reason does not like click for me in any way. Like I don't know how to explain it, but like it just Nope. It was like, okay, that's a thing that happens in the ballet on the TV, and then gone from my consciousness.
So I will admit that I don't get it.
Okay.
Like I don't get it. I don't get the appeal.
Right.
I also don't entirely understand how those nutcracker things work.
Oh.
Like, I think you put the nut in the dude's mouth and then like squeeze his legs.
No, there's a thing on the back that you lift up or you press down.
Oh.
One of the two. Yeah.
So you stick it in his ass and then squeeze his
No,
legs.
You stick it in his mouth, and then there's a part of his ass that you can grab and pull. Yeah.
Yeah, to pop the nut in his mouth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Grab his ass, pop his nut.
I feel like, that might be why I'm falling off of this a little bit.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, like every time I've seen it, I haven't really understood it. But there is something incredibly creepy about the Mouse King.
Yo, yeah, definitely.
And I love the idea of like a sentient mouse and his army of mice and rats, right? Because like the quintessential first adventure is go in the basement and kill rats.
Yeah. But what if they were the Mouse King?
What if they were the Mouse King's rats, right? And you slowly start working up the ladder to like an epic conflict with the Mouse King and like nutcracker armies. I don't actually know where any of the alliances live in that play either. Like I don't know who likes whom in the ballet.
I couldn't even define the interested parties,
I'm pretty sure one of them is a nutcracker.
Okay. Listen, I agree. One of them is definitely the nutcracker.
I understand that there is also a pretty girl of some sort.
Oh?
I believe so.
News to me.
I feel like maybe I should have researched this before I put this on the list.
Even just a little bit, yeah.
Even just a little bit. Yeah, no, the nutcracker, a thing that we uncultured louts do not have any touchstones with. But a king of mice controlling an army of rats at Christmas doing like random Christmas shenanigans, I think sounds like a lot of fun.
Okay, I can get behind that. Now, can I present one that you don't have on here?
Of course.
And I bring this up because you specifically said like you didn't like it, but it is probably my favorite Christmas content. And that is the claymation Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer that I think has a great villain in the whatever their version of the Abominable Snowman is. He is a villain that can be defeated by wits, which is helpful. And yeah, he's just generally kind of a goofball, but that opens up, like, for me, the fun of the Island of Misfit Toys. So he is like a villain that only exists to allow me to access an area related to his story that's way more interesting than he is.
I mean, that isn't always terrible. Like sometimes the villain just informs what your setting is going to be, and if the Island of Misfit Toys makes sense for your dungeon, then absolutely throw down on that. Like, it would be a lot harder for me to try and come up with like a dungeon that includes Mr. Hanky the Christmas Pooh than it would be to convert the Island of Misfit Toys. And like, again, I don't like that show and I don't remember anything about it. I could absolutely put together a dungeon called the Island of Misfit Toys and it would be a banger.
Yeah, so, just from the name alone, you're like, oh, I got this on lockdown.
Yeah. Although I always kind of want to put the Lost Boys from Peter Pan there.
Not the worst instinct.
Right? I have a weird appreciation for like Peter Pan in general. I really fucking like that story.
I don't really care about Peter Pan, but I do love Hook.
Right. Like Hook the movie or Hook the
Hook the movie.
Oh yeah, so good. That was actually like, so my son has like a must-see media list.
Okay.
For everybody who isn't you and doesn't know that already.
Yeah.
And that was the movie that convinced me we needed one.
Yeah.
Right, because we discussed it a little bit, and he didn't want to watch it, but then we did watch it, and he fucking loved it.
I knew before I even threw the idea out there that my kids would fucking love it.
Yeah, no, and I knew that Thor would love it too, but getting him to agree to watch the movie based on like a 1990s trailer,
right,
was tough.
Yeah. Trailers have come so far.
They are so much better than they used to be. Oh my god.
I could not convince myself to watch some of my favorite movies if I had to use those old trailers.
The trailer for Hook is so bad. Ugh. It's got like, and like no shade on the guys who made their living doing this, but it's got like that one guy who's like, Peter Banning makes his living in New York. And then they have like a couple of flash shots of New York and like him doing like business stuff. And then, but his world is about to be turned upside down as he like goes to fucking the UK as if his life hasn't already been turned upside down because he's Peter fucking Pan. Right? Yeah. No, it's such a bad trailer. But yeah, no, we watched that one. I absolutely adore. Okay. I actually enjoy watching bad Peter Pan movies just because I like the character in the world so much.
Okay.
So like the one where he was an orphan and like Hook was an older orphan. It was bad. I still liked it.
Never saw that one.
It was bad, but I still liked it.
Is this trying to combine like Peter Pan with Oliver Twist? Is that what that was doing?
No, it was trying to do like a Peter Pan Captain Hook origin story, which is not a good idea. We don't need that. No. Nobody needs that. We already have those in the form of the play and the book.
Right. Yeah. Also, like, I take this as a stance, I think, generally, but we don't need every fucking origin story.
Sure don't.
You could just come into the world as it is and tease origins and get some context clues, but like, I don't need every detail stacked up in front of me and then like, see, this is how it worked, dum-dum. And I'm like, okay, I get it. Like,
see, I was actually kind of upset that they did that for Doctor Strange.
Right.
Yeah. I wanted Doctor Strange to just be a fully formed Sorcerer Supreme out the fucking gate. Right? Don't explain it. Don't tell us about it. Just, he is the Sorcerer Supreme. Here's a problem.
Right. So, I think Doctor Strange is one of those ones where I actually wish it had a bit more of a origin to it, not specifically for Strange himself, but for like everything, I guess. Just a little bit more
everything
of, like,
else, yes, would be good.
Yeah. Like, hey, here's this hall full of wacky magical items with all these very specific names. Wow, how did that happen? I want to know where all that stuff came from.
But if you take Doctor Strange's origin out, you have room to talk about those things.
Exactly.
Right? And so, like, having it be another fucking origin story instead of just, like, here is this, like, very powerful sorcerer and his problematic Chinese manservant. And they are facing a magical problem that needs a magical answer. Go.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's such a simple setup. You don't need a lot of setup for that to work.
I do understand, like, the instinct from Marvel, though, where it's like, this is actually kind of a relatively obscure character outside of the world.
Right.
But, like, I think the problem was that... So I think Doctor Strange and Iron Man as characters had the same sort of issues with coming to general audiences. And so the formula that worked to put Iron Man over then got translated into every character they introduced because they thought that they needed to do that every time.
Yeah. And they really don't.
No, they don't. And especially this deep into the game. Like, if people are going to a comic book movie now, they're kind of along for the ride. They've either seen enough on their own, or they were already comic fans that like you don't really need to like dumb it down to bring in new people. At this point, there hasn't been enough of, I think, a change generationally that you have to like reset. You know?
Yeah. I am a little bit upset that Feige stole my Fantastic Four plot and made it Black Panther 2 instead.
Well,
so like,
have I seen Black Panther 2?
One with Namor?
Oh, I did finally see Black Panther 2. I boycotted it for a long time.
Okay. It was fine.
It was fine, and the guy who plays Namor was great.
Yeah, a couple of really great performances. Angela Bassett fucking killed it.
My boycott had nothing to do with like the film itself. I just I didn't like the anti-vax stance of one of the actors. So
fair, 100%. Yeah, like my plot for the first Fantastic Four movie would be having Reed, already Mr. Fantastic, like no origin story at all.
Yeah.
Already Mr. Fantastic, fixing a problem like the Gulf oil spills.
Oh,
and
yeah. Having
Atlantis notice him while he's doing that, and then Namor goes to war with New York.
But why would he attack the guy who's cleaning up the ocean?
Misunderstanding.
All right, fine, whatever.
Misunderstanding and miscommunication. So like they're both working towards the same goals, but they're doing it in different directions, and they both have a valid viewpoint, but they just need to talk it out, but they won't because Namor is arrogant.
All right, that does sound like, plausible. You know,
it sounds exactly like a fucking movie. Yes.
Yes. Shut up. Yes. Yes, it sounds like the movie. Okay.
Yes. And then you don't actually have to involve anything with vibranium because vibranium is
perfect. Worst. It's the best. What are you talking
about? Henchmen.
Henchmen.
You can't have a good villain without a bunch of wacky henchmen running around.
They are the
Not
most
wacky
fun.
necessarily.
I mean, this may be a terrible example, but would Despicable Me even be worth watching without the minions? If it was just Gru being kind of a goofball around some children.
Yes, the first one.
Okay, well, yeah, I guess.
The first one was a very tight story. The minions played a relatively small role. You could have replaced them with essentially anybody, and it would have worked.
See, I don't think the minions played a small role. I think they played a perfect dose of themselves. And then they got a little out of hand.
Yeah, it's the same thing as like the Kronk effect. Right?
Yeah.
You can't make a movie that centers around a fun side character without making that character no longer fun nor side. And that ruins the character. So.
Yeah. I think a big part of what this is a horrific phrase to use for this, but like the dose makes the poison, you know?
Right.
The only reason that character is fun is because they are in a limited capacity.
Poison for Cusco. Cusco's poison.
Poison for
Cusco. So for henchmen, I only put in names. I didn't actually talk about it like who these characters are or what they're going to do. I just came up with some ridiculous like Christmas themed henchmen names, and I figured we could spend some time like figuring out who these people are.
Okay. Now I will say right off the bat, these names say like lieutenant to me, not like, you know, run of the mill henchmen.
Oh no, these aren't minions, right? Minions are the level below this.
Oh, I see how you divide this. Okay, all right.
Yeah, so we got like the henchmen can be like lieutenants down to like, or like generals down to lieutenants, right? Just like the whole gamut there. So, character number 1 we have is Tinsel Tom.
I mean, it is the sparkliest ex-mafioso in the North Pole.
Ex-mafioso is an interesting direction for that. I was immediately thinking like silver-haired Fabio.
Oh, okay.
right? Like just like tossing his gold, like luscious silver locks and being like, "Yas," just like very like hoity German, and yeah.
Yeah, to
and,
me,
like, I
like
think-
a 2-word nickname like that says, like, yeah, former enforcer.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's two very different directions you can take that, where it's like, Tinsel Tom, he's the guy that'll kill you and then cover you with some sparkly shit. Or
No, they call him Tinsel Tom because of his, like, brightly, not bejeweled, what's the word I'm looking for? Bedazzled suits.
oh yeah, there's sequins everywhere.
Yeah. He glitters as he walks, but he is, like, lethal.
Fantastic. I imagine, just for like keeping with the aesthetic, long silver whips.
Oh,
Are the
okay.
weapons, like dual wielding whips.
See, and I'm so bored. It was like he has a gun.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. Oh man, just like a very bright chrome Tommy gun.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Like one of like Saddam Hussein's like golden guns, but just
brilliant. Rudolph the Roughhouser.
Yeah, this is Rudolph in a bad place. Like after GPS came out, he just wasn't necessary anymore. You know?
Started hitting the bottle.
Yeah.
His nose is red for a couple of reasons now.
He's gone to a dark place. He sort of works at like a shady bar up north.
Okay.
In my mind, he's kind of an anthropomorphic Rudolph.
Yeah, the first thing that came to my mind as I was writing that out was, have you seen Adventure Time?
I'm aware of Adventure Time.
Okay, but you haven't like watched the whole thing?
No.
Okay. There is an episode that is kind of a mind fuck. Like, one of the characters falls unconscious, and when they wake up, everything is different and like weird and wrong. And there's this like deer that is antagonizing them. And at one point, the deer stands up on his hind legs, takes off his hooves to reveal little hands, and then twiddles his fingers.
So stupid. That's the stupidest
it's
thing.
Horrifying. It's so horrifying. Like it is fucking creepy. And so that's the first thing I thought of when I saw Rudolph the Roughhouser. It was just like a deer with like weirdly articulated hands that's going to rough you up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I like the idea of like what's the name of that movie? Roadhouse. He's like
Roadhouse, but with Rudolph as the main character.
Yeah, he's working the front door. He's down on his luck. Hasn't had a great time. But he can take care of himself. He's wearing plaid, obviously.
Right.
Little like
just like
French Canadian woodsman beanie.
See, now I'm just getting flashbacks to like the first scene of Wolverine in the first X-Men movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, doing like cage fight matches.
Yeah.
Yeah, get out of here, mutie. And he's just got like this giant rack of fucking antlers.
See?
All right. Gonna skip a couple of these because we're running a bit short on time. Glitter the Plague.
I don't even like the name. I don't know.
We can skip it then.
Yeah, no, I'm not trying to like rain on your parade, but just like I hear the name of this and it's just like, oh, like there's something about the combination of words that makes me think of like an elf that I'm not going to like.
When I was writing it, I like the first thing I thought of was like how glitter is like craft STDs.
Oh yeah,
like if you have glitter on a thing, you have glitter on everything forever.
Right.
And anything you touch and anyone you touch is also going to be covered in fucking glitter. And so, like that was kind of the direction I was going with the name. But like, if we hate it, we'll just fucking skip it. Jingle and Jangle.
I love Jingle and Jangle. Whatever negative things I had to say about Glitter the Plague are gone with Jingle and Jangle. Just the possibilities of this like weirdo duo. Like, think of like the greatest like henchmen duos of all time. Like the Salamanca twins from Breaking Bad.
Right.
Bulk and Skull from Power Rangers.
Yep. Yeah, those guys are perfect because, like, we don't talk about the Sandman guy anymore, but there's a pair of villains in one of his books where, like, one of them is really big and kind of dumb, and the other is like very like small and foxy.
Yeah,
and that is absolutely the best combination of henchmen that you can have for any big bad.
Well, and the thing is, too, like, it's not just, like, henchmen. Like, some of the best combos of that have been, like... So you can take a good comedy duo like that and just turn them into henchmen. Like, Laurel and Hardy, but as henchmen? Great.
Yeah. Fafford and the Grey Mouser is kind of the archetype for that I use.
Sharky and George.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Minions. Let's talk about Minions.
All right, quickly.
Quickly, because we have so many things to get through in this episode.
No, I just don't like Minions.
You don't like Minions?
I don't like the Minions.
Oh, not the Minions, no.
I
like,
I understand, but we're talking about Minions.
Yeah, we're talking about like 1 HP bad guys.
Yeah.
That you are able to throw at your players en masse.
Yeah.
Couple of obvious examples are just like a horde of elves.
Yeah.
Or a horde of gnomes that call themselves elves.
Yeah.
One of the ones that I love on this list is Hans Gruber's Terrorists.
So if we're saying it better if it's Hans Gruber's Terrorists, but he is not present whatsoever.
We didn't talk about him last episode either. And so it's just like, and I don't think we talked about Die Hard at all. So it's just like, Hans Gruber's Terrorists.
I'm against the discourse that like, oh, Die Hard's a Christmas movie. Like, I realize it's set at Christmas, but like, I think there's more to qualifying a Christmas movie than that. So I'm happy to pull parts from it into our actual Christmas thing.
Yeah, I don't think that a movie set at Christmas is automatically a Christmas movie.
No. I think
it has to be about Christmas.
Yeah. Like, Home Alone is a Christmas movie. Even though, like, there's a very important through line in the whole thing about, like, the value of Christmas to his neighbor and stuff, right? It's not just like, it happened to be set at Christmas, also he murders 2 people.
Yeah. And, like, there's nothing in Die Hard that is about how important Christmas is.
No, not whatsoever.
His goal has nothing to do with Christmas, really. He just wants to see his wife.
Yeah.
Like, Hans's goals doesn't have anything to do with Christmas. He just wants money.
Yep.
Like, yeah. No, it's not fitting my definition of a Christmas movie, but
nor mine.
That'll be a weekly theme for another time, I feel.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, so
Minions. I also put the Nutcrackers and quote-unquote mice on ice. Again, just because I love the idea of just like a horde of mice on ice skates.
Yeah, that tracks. I like the idea of like, anytime you've got like animated toys or things like that, I love the idea of like one of them going bad or what have you. So even if you took like the idea of the Island of Misfit toys, but like they were misfits because they were like violent or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just like a bunch of, especially, and like in particular, like classic wooden toys and marionettes really can like ride that line of like Christmas theme with horror elements.
Yep. Woody was such a good toy right up until he beat Andy in the face and body.
Yeah, exactly.
And then my personal favorite on this list of Minions is Christmas Carol and her Choir of Chaos.
Who the Did you just make that up? Like, who is that?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Just a horrifying choir of carolers who use like sonic attacks at range.
Okay, I don't think this is a universal thing. I doubt they have one out there. Do you remember the singing Christmas tree?
No.
Okay, so this is like, it might be a uniquely like Edmonton production, but basically this like local Ukrainian choir group or something builds a like 4-story tall Christmas tree that then they fill with tears of people who sing carols and things like that.
That's horrifying.
Yeah, exactly. You accidentally like recreated that in a bad way.
Yeah. See, the thing that I love about like, especially having Christmas Carol as a minion instead of a lieutenant or a henchman, is that like she's as easy to deal with as the rest of them. She's just like the leader of this choir, and then you can put them anywhere. They go door to door. They go wherever they need to go. So like you've got a roving, just like knocking on the inn that your player characters are staying at, like knocking on the front door and then destroying the inn with a sonic attack. Peak. I love it.
They are Warhammer Noise Marines, but in holiday special.
Yeah, they're the what did the Sardaukar use? Some sort of vocal attacks, or was that the Fremen?
Remember? I don't think it was the Fremen, because the Fremens, all their noise stuff was about attracting worms.
Yeah, no, they had like a thing that they put on their throat that like caused sonic attacks.
Whatever. Nerd stuff.
Monsters. You gotta fill a dungeon with monsters.
Yeah. So again, bring back my favorite, Abominable.
Okay.
He could just be
the first one,
nasty part of the dungeon.
The first one that I put on the list was the Elf on the Shelf, because fuck that guy.
That is the one Christmas tradition that I violently reject.
I hesitate to call it a tradition.
Well, it's a manufactured tradition.
Yeah, it started like, 7 years ago?
I think it's a little more than that. But yeah, capitalism birthed this horror on us, and we're like, haha, lie to your children even more.
Lie to your children, and also, like, hide a creepy doll on them?
No thanks. I'm
no,
good.
Thank you.
Hard pass.
But as a monster...
So good.
Right? Like a sneaky... I would give it invisibility powers.
Yeah.
Right? Like a sneaky elf. The only way to counter it is to find it and point it out. Like it's like the swiper no swiping rule.
Yeah.
But like, if you don't find it, it will stab you in your sleep.
Yeah, you're gonna die.
Yeah. Threw down with like the snow golems and the ice mephits and all like the classic monsters that you can fill a dungeon with, but also
a fucking tauntaun. Who cares?
Yeah. The Yule Wraith is just a wreath that's haunted.
I saw the pun and I like hated it, but then now that I think about the haunted wreath, it's very funny.
Right? Like just imagining a dungeon, like a horrifying murder dungeon, and then it's got like this nice wreath on the front.
Yeah.
And the wreath is haunted, and it's going to fuck you up. I love it. Gingerbread giants. So like anything gingerbread, I feel like you can make gingerbread anything.
Yeah, I mean, this is just
automatically becomes 10% cooler.
Right?
Yeah. Not the gumdrop buttons.
The Christmas treant, I think you just stole this from League of Legends.
Did I?
There is a Christmas Maokai skin. That's just...
Oh, okay. I just liked the pun.
Yeah, okay.
I think Christmas treant is great.
I believe you.
Yeah. The colossal candy cane crab was just me flipping out on alliteration.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is just you mashing the letter C on the keyboard.
Yeah, just, again, like similar to the gingerbread thing, like you can make any monster out of candy cane and it's automatically Christmas. You don't want to lean on it too heavily. But like...
If you covered an Umber Hulk in candy cane.
Oh, man.
Like anything with like a shell or chitin and just turn that into candy cane.
And then I would make it so that any bite attack did double damage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gift-wrapped mimics.
Yeah, that one's like so perfect and easy. Like just mimics everywhere. Gift-wrapped.
Mimics everywhere.
Hanging from a tree.
Have presents under the like Christmas treant.
Yeah.
Like you've got the Christmas treant and a bunch of fucking mimics sitting.
Yeah, like there's your encounter built. The Christmas treant and 4 gift wrapped. You know what? Fucking the cookies and milk for Santa can be mimics. Like you could just have a beautiful Christmas place setting, and then every part of it is a mimic.
Except the giant treant that is also going to wreck your day.
But the giant treant is also a mimic.
And then I was trying to figure out a way to make like a bell themed, like Christmas bells into a bad guy, and I came up with the Bellamental.
I hate it. I hate it. I love it. I hate it.
This is what happens when I am writing these notes and like I'm already tired.
Yeah.
All of the bad fucking dad joke puns come out. So yeah, just like an elemental made of bells.
Oh god.
So
okay, I just had my brain combined the mimic and the Bellamental into the Carol of the Bells, but every handbell is a mimic. So your puzzle in the dungeon involves playing a table full of handbells, where most of them are mimics.
I actually just came up with another encounter using Christmas Carol and her Choir of Chaos. Each of them is holding a Bellamental, so the actual bad guy is the bells, but the minions are all of the carolers.
Oh god.
So like it looks like the enemy that you're facing is the bunch of humans, and then once they're all dead, like the horrifying Bellamental shows up and starts wrecking your shit.
Yeah, alright. Deal. 2 layers.
2 layers. And then loot. I put a note here for traps that just goes, like traps and puzzles. I was like, puzzles.
I just did that. I just made that for you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Christmas setting that is all mimics.
No, the playing the Christmas Carol on the handbells that are also mimics.
Oh, yeah.
That's how you unlock the door, and also they eat your hands.
When I was doing the very nominal amount of research that I usually do for these, which is usually just like watching a couple of YouTube videos and trying to get ideas, the one thing that I saw was like a Christmas present logic puzzle that had Frosty the Snowman getting you to pick the right present, and everything about it made me sad.
Yeah, that does sound awful.
Yeah. The guy put a lot of work into it, but like not a thing I ever want to play through, because I know my players, and if I present them with something like that, they'll just be like, I'm going to pick the rectangle one right now. And then like the puzzle is done, and now we have to do a fight.
Well, that's just it. You have these like win-lose condition puzzles, and you know that they will always be lose because your players will not have the patience to do a puzzle. Yep. Right?
And most of the players that I play with aren't logical enough to do logic puzzles.
Yeah. My mind wants to do, like, honestly, just treat them like children at Denny's. And give them, like, a sheet with a connect the dots with all the numbers removed. Like, once you figure out the picture, and it's fucking Santa Claus or whatever.
Here's a word search with no clues. And when you find the magic word, just circle it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't have any notes on traps. I didn't have any notes on puzzles. Maybe someday we'll come back and do like Christmas traps as an episode.
But we would have to put traps in our games to do a Christmas themed trap episode.
Yeah. I do occasionally put traps in my games. I
put skill checks. I just don't really flavor them up very well.
Yeah. I do a lot of skill checks. I do a lot of like getting over it type scenarios, right? Because like most of the time the rogue's passive perception is high enough to be picking up traps anyway.
Yeah.
And so like I'd never really focus too hard because like one of the situations that I always kind of try and want to avoid when I'm gaming is asking for a roll, everybody fails, and then I don't give them information, which gives them information.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And then the thing that I can do is roll those in secret, but that doesn't feel good.
No.
Right. For the players, I'm rolling for their skill, and that's not okay.
Yeah. And like from my end, like the most I've done really with traps is like my chosen one shot to introduce people to Dungeons and Dragons has a door with 3 colored keyholes, and in the only 3 rooms in the dungeon, the only 3 things that you see happen to be hiding 3 different colored keys in some way. Like all it takes is like you just inspect the thing and you notice something. Like it's
what happens if you put the wrong key in the wrong door?
You know what? I hadn't thought that far ahead, and no one's ever bothered to do that.
I am traditionally a shit disturber at tables, so I absolutely would give that a shot. Like after everybody else went through, I'd be like, cool, just leave me here. I'm going to try something out.
Yeah. Hold on, guys. I have an idea.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about loot.
Okay. Quick loots.
All right. Quick loots. So I came up with like a bunch of ideas. I'll like present a couple of my favorites here for your consideration. The missile toe.
Yep.
It is a sprig of mistletoe that casts magic missile.
Perfect.
Potion of holiday spirit, which gives you an advantage on charisma checks.
Okay.
Santa's bag of holding, I decided couldn't just be like a normal bag of holding. So I also wanted to mix it with the magic cloak that like creates small items.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. The snowflake chakram.
Right.
It's like a chakra that you can throw, it explodes, and then it reappears in your hand in a different shape than it was before.
Right.
Every time it's unique. What else do we have here? I don't know. What's your favorite?
I just thought of a couple that I would add to this list.
Sweet. Let's hear them.
So the Red Rider is and I know this actually exists in D&D, so we're just going to do it. But it's just a red rifle that if you ever roll... Sorry, you don't know this, but if you ever roll a critical miss, you lose an eye.
Oh.
Yeah. You put your eye out.
Just you?
Yeah, just you.
Okay. Because it would be hilarious if you could inflict that on, like, one of your allies.
No, it's just you. You put your eye out.
Okay. That's fair. That reduces some table conflict, but I thrive on table conflict, so...
Yeah, I bet you do. A leg lamp that is just a self-propelling, I guess, fixture to cast the light spell from.
Okay.
In fishnet stockings.
Okay. Just the classic gag gift.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then, what was the other one? Oh, shoot, I had a third one that was actually better than the leg lamp. Oh, the Charlie in a box.
Charlie in a box.
It's a Jack in the Box. When it pops open, it casts Fireball.
All right. How many turns does it take to open? Like, do you have to roll like 1d6 rounds of trying to open it before the fireball goes off?
No, so someone needs to be cranking the handle to play the song.
Right.
So it's... Hold on. How long is one stanza of Pop Goes the Weasel? Like, let's give it 10 seconds. So, if someone's... Sure, whatever. It's 2 rounds.
Yeah.
If someone cranks that handle for 2 rounds, it then explodes.
I think I would randomize it. I think like you could crank the handle for a round and roll a d6. If it's a 6, then it goes off.
Okay.
If it doesn't, then it's just like you used your minor action to crank the handle.
Oh, see, I don't see this as a thing that you use. I see this as a thing you slide into a room full of baddies.
Okay. Yeah, I was imagining it more as like you have the box and you're like cranking the handle with like the clown opening
pointed away,
pointed towards your enemies.
No, the idea is like, so it has to have some sort of charm spell cast on it that makes it like irresistible. Right. Like they have to just pick it up and start cranking. And then in 2 rounds, kaboom.
It could crank on its own. Like once thrown, it could start cranking on its own.
That's not as funny though.
It is not as funny, that is true. I think like the one that I would want the most in one of my parties would actually be the Yule log.
Okay.
It's just a log that never burns out, and you can say a command word to light it on fire and a command word to snuff it out, and it's just always there for fires. You don't have to start fires. You don't have to like worry about starting them or snuffing them out, or like whether or not you have enough firewood or fuel or anything. You've just always got a fire with you, ready to go.
Yeah, okay. I'm glancing at some of your other ones here. I like the reindeer helm, but I would want it to be just a reskin version of the charging helm.
Could do that, yeah. I liked the idea of just like standing really tall and having like huge antlers and being very intimidating. So you get like an advantage on intimidate checks, but charging with it definitely makes sense.
I would put that on some sort of like glowing red nose. Be intimidate.
The little mending hammer, like a little toy wooden hammer that has like a star on one side that you just like tap something with and it fixes it.
Yeah. It's like Fix It Felix, but a tiny toy.
Yeah. So,
I like the idea of the box of toy soldiers, but like, I know in this instance that you're talking about, it's kind of like the guys from like Toy Story, right? Is that what you were thinking?
Probably less intelligent than them. Like they just listen to orders and like can guard a space and like make a noise.
Oh no, I want them to be like fully intelligent, just tiny and ineffective.
Okay.
Like, they're so smart but so useless. No, there was another movie that I would want them to be more like. Did you ever see the movie Small Soldiers?
No.
As far as I could tell, it was a movie just designed like in the way that He-Man was just designed to sell action figures. Right. This was the movie version of that, except with like American exceptionalism instead of fantasy swords.
Okay.
And it was kind of awesome.
And it's just like little army men?
But like not little. They're like 12 inches tall. Like they're like...
That's a really big army man's.
Yeah.
That's like a G.I. Joe style army man's.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine like a super chiseled G.I. Joe, and then the guys that they're supposed to be fighting are meant to be these like... In the way that like the Horde is villainized in World of Warcraft, like it turns out that the guys on the other side of the aisle are actually just like kind of tree-loving hippies with like a lot of like allusions to like native spirituality and stuff. It's great, and Tommy Lee Jones plays like the lead toy.
Okay.
It's one of the last roles for Phil Hartman. It's fantastic.
Oh, okay. That just gave me the idea of like having a box of like the super articulated like 6-inch G.I. Joes from when we were kids.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just like you plop them out, and you've got like some guy in like a super teched up ninja outfit, running around with like katanas, and they're tiny, but like able to distract people and do stuff. Yeah, I like that one. The lump of coal that casts Detect Good and Evil, I thought was kind of funny.
See, and I was trying to think of a way to do something like that, but it said it cast like invisibility, or not invisibility. What is it? Darkness.
Okay.
Like,
yeah, because I've got the Silent Night Bell that also casts silence when you ring it on the list. So like having both of those would be really great for stealth characters.
Yeah, a Silent Night Bell. I'm trying to just think of like carols that I can steal items out of. There's got to be some sort of sleigh.
Yes.
You could have a sleigh of slaying. Oh,
just like a heavy metal decked out spiked sleigh.
Yeah.
With like serrated
the
skis.
Slayer's sleigh.
The Slayer's sleigh. Perfect. Hey, thanks for making it all the way through this episode of No Plot Only Lore. If you're looking for more, you can always find us at noplotonlylore.com and on all the very best podcast platforms. If you like what you heard today, please share, rate, and review the show to feed my never-ending need for attention and validation.